Chapter 2, The Demographic Structure of the Indian Society. Question answers from class 12th, subject Sociology. Question 1. Explain the basic argument of the theory of demographic transition. Why is the transition period associated with a population explosion? Answer. Theory of demographic transition explains how population growth changes with economic development. It describes three stages. Stage 1, high birth rate and high death rate. Society is underdeveloped, poor medical facilities, population growth is very low. Stage 2, falling death rate and high birth rate. Transition stage, better healthcare, sanitation, nutrition. Death rate falls rapidly, but birth rate remains high because social habits take time to change. Stage 3, low birth rate and low death rate. Society becomes economically developed, family size becomes smaller, population stabilizes. Why population explosion in the transition period? The death rate drops quickly, but the birth rate stays high for some time. The gap between birth rate and death rate becomes very large. This leads to very rapid population growth known as population explosion. Question 2. Why did Malthus believe that catastrophic events like famines and epidemics that cause mass deaths were inevitable? Answer. Malthus believed population grows faster than the food supply. Population geometrical progression 2, 4, 8, 16. Food production arithmetic progression 2, 4, 6, 8. Therefore, population would always be greater than the available resources. Humans have limited ability to control population voluntarily through preventive checks like delaying marriage. So, nature would use positive checks such as famines, epidemics, wars, diseases. These would reduce population and restore the balance between population and food supply. Hence, Malthus thought catastrophic events were inevitable. Question 3. What is meant by birth rate and death rate? Explain why the birth rate is relatively slow to fall while the death rate declines much faster. Answer. Birth rate, number of live births per 1000 people in a year. Death rate, number of deaths per 1000 people in a year. Why death rate falls faster? Death rate depends largely on medical, technological, and public health improvements such as vaccination, better sanitation, control of epidemics, improved nutrition. These changes can be introduced quickly by government policies. Why birth rate is slow to fall? Birth rate is influenced by social and cultural factors such as preference for large families, high infant mortality, people have more children as insurance, lack of education and awareness, traditional beliefs about children as economic assets, low status of women, and lack of family planning. Since social attitudes change slowly, birth rate declines much more gradually than death rate. Question 4. Which states in India have reached or are near the replacement levels of population growth? Which ones still have high growth? What could be some reasons for these regional differences? Answer. States near or below replacement level TFR approximately 2.1 or lower: Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Punjab, Himachal Pradesh, West Bengal. These states have better education, higher literacy, better healthcare, and greater awareness of family planning. States with very high population growth, high TFR: Bihar, Uttar Pradesh, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh. These states have reasons for regional differences. First, low female literacy, higher fertility. Second, poor healthcare, higher infant mortality, more children as security. Third, early marriage and patriarchal norms. Fourth, less access to contraception. Fifth, economic backwardness. Sixth, cultural preference for larger families. Question 5. What is meant by the age structure of the population? Why is it relevant for economic development and growth? Answer. Age structure. the proportion of people in different age groups 0 to 14, 15 to 59, 60 plus years in the total population. Importance for economic development. First, working age population 15 to 59 years determines productivity. More workers, higher economic growth. Second, high dependency ratio creates burden. More children or elderly, more pressure on working population. Third, demographic dividend. When the working age population is large, the country gets an economic advantage. India is currently enjoying this benefit due to a young population. Fourth, planning for services. Young population need for schools, jobs. Aging population need for healthcare, pensions. Thus, age structure affects both economic opportunities and social policy planning. Question 6. What is meant by the sex ratio? What are some implications of a declining sex ratio? Do parents still prefer sons? What could be the reasons for this preference? Answer. Sex ratio, number of females per 1000 males in a population. Implications of a declining sex ratio. First, increased gender discrimination. Second, higher mortality among girl children. Third, future shortage of women, marriage squeeze. Fourth, increase in trafficking and exploitation. Fifth, social imbalance and rising crimes against women. Do parents still prefer sons? Yes, in many parts of India, son preference still exists, though attitudes are slowly changing. Reasons for son preference. Economic reasons. Sons are seen as future breadwinners. Sons inherit property in many families. Social and cultural reasons. Sons carry forward the family name. In many communities, sons perform last rites. Patriarchal norms value boys more. Dowry system. Daughters are considered a burden because of dowry expectations. Security in old age. Parents expect sons to support them in old age. So friends, we have completed all these question answers. From chapter 2, the demographic structure of the Indian society, we have already studied the notes and summary of this chapter. You can find the link in the description and on the screen. If you like the video, kindly like, hype the video and share it with your friends. Also subscribe to my channel for more such videos. We will meet in the next video. Thank you for watching.